Okay, so obviously it's the next morning and I've got the cylinder off. This is a good quality cylinder. Like, it's the casting is extremely even. The flashing is not, the casting isn't sort of lopsided like sometimes they are. The piston looks really good. Looks really, well, it's hardly been used, so there's no reason for it not to be looking good. Everything's covered in oil, so obviously the oil that I'm using, that I have used in this, is pretty good. So in the past I haven't bothered measuring squish, but I thought I would with this one, because if I screw this one up, yeah, even though I do have the necessary spare parts to replace, these things aren't cheap. This cost me like the G888, which is the MS880 clone. This cost me $1,000 Australian, so not cheap by any stretch of the imagination, but you do get a lot of saw. I mean, there's no doubt about it, you get a lot of saw. And this cylinder is a very good quality cylinder. It doesn't have that special mark, so it's actually got a place where the stamping would be on the cylinder, but there's no stamping there. This, obviously, I mean, I've hardly used it, so the cylinder is in excellent condition. You can see where it's been rubbing in there, and you can see I can see exactly how far I can go with the inlet and the exhaust. With the exhaust, a little bit, but so I will widen the exhaust a tad. But I tell you what, the thing that I really don't like about this thing, and that is the upper transfers are a mess. I will show it to you, see if I can get you to see it. They are an absolute mess. It looks like whoever did the grinding never didn't have a 90-degree tool. I mean, have a look at that in there. That that top transfer, which is at the bottom now, that's a mess. You reckon that's a mess? Check this one out. Have a look at that. Have a look at that. Maybe you didn't see. Hang on. So that's the first one I showed. That's a mess. But that one, that is horrible. That's a disgrace. So how do I clean that up? Because I don't have a 90-degree tool, so that's going to be interesting. Oh well. So yeah, that transfer is a mess, absolute mess. I might go to the local speed shop and see if there's some sort of 90-degree device that I can get, because, or no, what I'll do is I'll use a ball, because you can get a ball pretty far and sideways, and they're only, I'm surprised how small those upper transfers are. They're tiny. Hey, they are tiny. I might see if I can open it up a bit sideways, because that is ridiculously small. Now, squish. So I did measure squish with this one, and the base gasket came out pretty much perfect. Nothing came off it at all, so I could reuse that if I wanted to. But so what I did was I took the cylinder off, I took the base gasket off, put the cylinder back on, tightened it down, and measured squish all in all 4 spots. And it came up, so without the base gasket, it came up 30 thousandths, 30.05 I think, or something like that. So basically 30 thou, and that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I didn't want squish to be too tight, because it is big, big honking saw. But 30 thou I think is pretty good, a pretty good place to be for this size saw. In my, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a professional, so I don't know 100% for sure. But yeah, that sounds pretty good. This boot is just an absolute prick of a thing to get to. because I haven't needed this clamp was, so the screw was actually oriented up top, so I could actually undo it and just take the boot off, which is nice. That way you don't have to take all the rest of the crap off. So I didn't even have to take anything off that side off at all, really. Well, I did, because just to get to the spark plug you got to take, yeah, again, 572s are so much easier to work on than these things, really. So what I will do without further ado is port it, and then I'll slap it back together and get it running, see what the throttle response is then, because right now it's a bit, maybe it might not be tuned right, because when I got this I still didn't really know much about tuning. I still don't know much about tuning, but I know enough just by ear to tell that something's, that it's not running right, even though this thing's sort of, it idles fine and whatnot, and might have to just adjust the low jet for the throttle response, but I'll see what the difference is without any adjustment, and then maybe do some adjustment later. Anyway, so what I will do now is I'll do it downstairs. I'll go and port it downstairs so I don't make a mess up here, because you do make a big mess. Yeah, so I'll go downstairs, port it, and I'll bring it up, chuck it on, and then we'll have a test run. So I'll see you soon. Holy, this cylinder, pardon me, this cylinder, without exception, is the worst ground cylinder that I've yet seen on a Farmertec saw, on any saw. Yeah, it's, you know what it seems, to me it seems like they just dragged some Joe Blow off the street, sat him down in front of a grinding bench and said, here, start grinding cylinders, and he would have asked, how do you do that? And they would have, some of them would have said, just wing it, because it would appear that whoever the individual was, they did not have a 90-degree tool, because those uppers, the upper transfers were, I mean, just, well, you saw. So I'll show you what it looks like now. Okay, so there's the exhaust port. I'll go from there. There's the exhaust port. I widened it a bit, blended that in. There's one side, so lower transfer, took the hump out the bottom, and just took, it was hard to get all the shit out of it, because yeah, I don't have the right tools. But that upper transfer, which is at the bottom there, I mean, that looks a whole lot better. It was a mess. There's the intake, and just had to clean that up a bit. Yeah, there were like stepped edges, if you know what I mean, everywhere. There's the one that was an absolute mess, the lower transfer. That's a little bit better now. So, yeah, I don't know how this thing didn't hang up a ring, because, yeah, there were some knife edges, like really would have been borderline. Yeah, like I said, it was like it was done by a complete, I mean, I'm a complete amateur, but God, if you see an edge, if you see a ragged mess, grind it off. I don't know if I've altered the timing on this by cleaning up those transfers or what, I have no idea, but one transfer is wider than that, and that one's wider than that one, or appears to be. I'm surprised how small these transfers, the upper transfers are. They're tiny. Yeah, really bizarre. Such a big saw. So what I will do is I'll put it back together, and then we'll see how she runs. I don't know what the results get. I didn't polish the exhaust port because it's pretty smooth. It's not too bad. It's not a ragged mess like the rest of it was. So I went through with a ceramic ball and took off any any possible edges that might catch the what's called the ring. So yeah, see how we go. I don't know. I'm really disappointed with this cylinder. It was a ragged mess. The uppers were just disgusting. So anyway, I'll put it back together and see how we go. I'll have to wait an hour for the gasket goo to set. So I'll just use gasket goo and I'll just put it on the cylinder. A nice amount of it. And so okay. Alright, 2 points that I want to make before I forget is that when I was grinding on this cylinder, whatever the coating is, pardon me, is a lot harder than all the other Holtz former Farmertec cylinders that I ground on. This coating was really hard. In fact, it was hard to get a start where the coating was still there. It was hard to get a start on it when I was grinding, and it did chip in a couple of places, big chips, what I would call big chips, you know, not really that big, maybe, you know, 1.5, 2 mil, just in 1 or 2 places. The other thing is that another reason why I much prefer working on the 372 as compared to the well, all of the steel clones is because I haven't got a cylinder here. The holes where you get the driver through to do up the bolts, the base bolts, cylinder base bolts, the holes in the actual cylinder are tiny, whereas with the Husk, I don't know if all Husqvarnas are like that, but the 372, the holes are big and you can just drop the bolt straight through, no problems. You don't have to frig around. Where is it? Man, I had to, it's forceps. I had to muck around holding the bolt, you know, once you got the cylinder down, getting the bolts in. Now, I didn't put the bolts in. Some people put the bolts in first. I don't do that, and the reason is because of the gasket goop. So I only put gasket goop on the actual case. I didn't put it on the bottom of the cylinder. Reason being is when you're trying to, if you haven't taken that boot out, intake boot out, you're trying to get it over the top of the rings and finagle that boot on at the same time and moving shit around, and it's very easy to just wipe some of that crap off the bottom of the cylinder if you've got it on there. All the others I did put it on both on the case and on the bottom of the cylinder. This one I just put them on the bottom of the cylinder and gave it a liberal amount. Waited 1.5 hours, not 1 hour this time, and so I just wanted to make those points. So again, yeah, the Husqvarna 372, well, at least the Farmertec copy, is just so much easier to work on, and because of a whole lot of reasons. And I've never pointed that out, is that the holes through the fins, the 4 holes through the fins, so you can get the driver in to do up the cylinder base bolts, they're just tiny. You can only get a driver through. You can't just pop the bolts through like you can with the Husky. You can do with the Husky. These things, in actual fact, I have to be honest, this was probably the easiest one to work on. So I've done the 366, the 361 clone. I've done the 660 clone. They were harder to work on than this one. This one was a lot easier to work on, mainly just because of scale. Everything's bigger and it's just sort of easier to finagle things in where you need to, and with the Stihls, there's a lot of finagling. I did replace the decomp valve with a, I'm not sure what this decomp valve is off, but it's got a bigger handle on it. The decomp valve that came with it, it's only got a tiny little handle on it, and if you want to pop it out, you need a screwdriver to pop it out. This one you can actually grab a hold of. So I did change that. I don't know if I changed the spark plug in this or it came with a genuine NGK, marked Japan, spark plug, but it's got an NGK spark plug in there. What else did I change? That's about it. So you saw it running. It runs fine. The throttle response, the big difference that I noticed. So two big differences that I noticed. The sound is so much louder, and the throttle response, big difference. Big. It was a little bit spongy. It wasn't instant. Now it's instant. It's pretty much instant. I did flood it. I don't know how, but I did manage to flood it. Because these things are so easy to flood. So I don't know how much of. I did film the first part of it, but I don't know if I recorded it. So if I did record it, where I started for the first time, it popped pretty quick. I'll show both bits of footage, but so you would have seen them anyway, because I'll show it to you now. Alright, so you saw it running. Yeah, the throttle response is, yeah, so different, so different. So if anyone's wondering about the muffler, you'll notice there's indented ribs, right? Now, to get a proper seal, what I did was I actually flattened those ribs out where the base of this pipe fits. So I'm getting sort of a proper seal, because it's still got that spark screen that I've got in there, and that's actually bugged out now. Yeah. So as far as compression is concerned, obviously I reduced the compression, reduced the squish by 17 thousandths by removing the gasket, and now it's at 30 thousandths. Did I notice the difference in compression? You know what, this thing's such a big saw, and it's got so much compression to begin with, I couldn't really tell, I really couldn't tell. But obviously if you reduce the base gasket and reduce squish to 30 thousandths from 47 thousandths, you're going to have greater compression, no doubt about it. So I'm really, really happy. Whoops. So I'm celebrating with a really nice German beer. Oh yeah. So I've got a buddy up in the Tablelands who's got an 880, and it's probably pretty old now. I don't know how clapped out it is, but I want to compare it to it, just see how much difference there is. And but at the moment, so what I will do is I'll ring my buddy and I'll make sure it's alright to go up. So in a day or two I'll be up there, and I will do the shootout. But again, I'm really, really happy with it. Yeah, the first time that I started it was really, really easy, and then I went back down again because the battery went dead on this thing, or something went wrong with it. And then the second time, it looks like I flooded it. Yeah, for whatever reason, it happened. Yeah, again, stills. But anyway, like I said, I'm happy. It runs. Yeah, the throttle response is, pardon me, throttle response is instant, pretty much instant. So yeah, I'm really, really happy. So until the next video, see you later.